Hey everyone, welcome back to part 4 of our Legacy of Love Project Playbook, converting it into a scrap journal for a scrap journal size heritage album. That's the word I'm looking for, because this is our heritage collection for this year, 2025. So I got our Project Playbook. So what we're going to need for this one is we are going to need our geometric gem chain BMC that came with the collection. If you don't have this one, I forgot to mention in other videos, but it's on my handouts for this series. If you don't have this particular punch, that's okay. You can substitute this out for almost any punch. Double rickrack is similar in that sense. You could use triangle chain, triangle window, dotted triangle. You could probably use almost any BMC that you would like, as long as it's kind of staying within that size that this one is, which it's around. It's about 1 7/8 in width or so. So anything that might be a half to possibly 2 inches, you'd be okay with using. So there's lots of different options you could swap out and substitute for this, and not necessarily a chain. You could use an edging style as well. You might even be able to figure out how to make a knockout one work too. We're going to use, for this project 4, we're going to be using the scrap from Project 3, that vintage floral where we made the circle. We use those scraps here on the left side page. We're going to also use some scraps of the craft stripes, which is what they call this striped brown print, tan print. We had used this prior to make Project 2's chain border, so we're going to be able to use some of those scraps from that, as well as the opposite side we used in the Project 3 layout for these strips here. So we're going to be able to use almost up that whole leftover strip. You might need to cut into the other sheet of it, so I do have that one handy. The other paper that we'll need is this like parchment, journal parchment type print. It's got some wording, some fadedness on it. Another kind of really beige neutral tonal. We're going to need beige cardstock, black cardstock for this. Or if you're wanting to use a black print that you like, you could probably swap that out as well. So I have these pieces here. All right. First off, this particular layout has this border all the way around the 2 pages, and they give us instructions here on making that. So the base is black cardstock, then we've got that craft stripe tan on top with the gemstone chain, or geometric gemstone chain on top of that. So again, the Project Playbook is written for 12 by 12 sizes, so all of the cutting guides in this packet are in the 12 by 12, but I'm going to be scaling these to the scrap journal size, the 6 3/4 by 10. So follow the handout for the measurements that accompanies this video. Okay. I'm just going to be referencing this because, to my knowledge, someone hasn't made one of these yet for the scrap journal size, so I guess I'm pioneering that right now. So this is to kind of guide us along putting it together. So I was previously recording this and I had messed up one of the measurements where I had to restart. So a lot of what I'm going to be working through, I already have these cuts done. So you'll have to just maybe bear with me a little. First off, make the geometric gem chain cuts in black cardstock with your custom cutting system. Okay. Because we're going to actually be cutting this punch in half after we punch it out. Because again, we have to size this down to the scrap journal pages. I'm only going to need to make 3. I'm just checking this again. So one of these will make that. One. Yeah, so you only need to cut or punch out 3 full 12 by 12s in the black cardstock. Okay, so you would load in your paper, load in your cartridge, and punch along and do that 3 times. You are then going to take those punch outs and you're going to line them up onto your 12 by 12 or 12-inch trimmer so that the middle part is where on that cutting guide, right in the middle, as best you can get that in the middle. And then you're going to cut them in half so that you should end up with, I think, 6 pieces, if I do my math right. Math isn't apparently mathing for me today, so bear with me there. Then we're going to cut the strips that we need for the border itself. We're going to take our black cardstock and we are going to make a 3/4 inch strip. We're going to need 1, 2. We're going to need 4 of these. You're going to need 4 3/4 by 12 black strips. Then get your tan craft or the craft stripes paper, and you're going to cut at 1/2 inch. You're going to again cut the same amount. You're going to need 4 of these as well. And again, these are going to be at the 1/2 inch mark. You are then also going to need, I think I need one more for this part. Okay. You will then also need 1 inch strip of the craft stripe, and you will need a 1 1/8 inch strip of black cardstock. So 1 1/8 on our trimmers, if you're not familiar. So we go from our inch mark forward. Here's a 1/4. 1/8 is in between, so it's this middle notch between the inch and 1/4. This is 1/8 where my multi-purpose tool is pointing. So again, you're going to cut your black strip at 1 1/8. Okay, for that. So you're going to have all of your strips, and so then you're going to cut, you're going to take, you're going to take 2 of your 3/4 inch black strips, and you're going to cut these at 7 3/4. So you need 2 of the black strips cut to 7 3/4. Okay. And then you're going to also cut 2 of the striped craft at the same length, the 7 3/4. So 2 of your 1/2 inch craft will be cut at 7 3/4. So pair those up with your black cuts. These become the left and the right side borders. Then take the other 2 black strips and you're going to cut those at 4 1/2. So you can get nope, sorry, not 4 1/2. Sorry. That was the old measurement. So I just may have messed that one. I gotta get a new strip of black. See how easy it is? This one's just a very more involved sketch or project than the others, so it's a little bit more, it's just a little bit. I'm just going to just so that I can make sure got what I need, since I'm having lots of mess ups today. All right, got that. I've got 2 of these. Okay. So we've got our left and right borders at the 7 3/4 cut. Now I need to cut the top and bottoms. That needs to be at, let me get my measurement right, 5 9/16. That's a fun measurement. Where is that one? 5 9/16. So 9/16, if we look here at the 2 inch mark on our trimmer, go to the 1/2 inch mark. It's the first notch after the 1/2 inch. So it's just before the 5/8 mark. So 9/16, go to the 1/2. It's the first notch after. That gets a little tough on our trimmers here because here's 5 1/2. It's right in the crook of the arm. Then we've got the other 1/8, and I'm not sure what that one is. So 5 9/16 is going to be somewhere in here. Which is why I'm going to cut both of my strips at the same time so that I don't have to keep figuring out where this is. I'm going to load this into my trimmer. Here's my 1/2. I'm at the 1/2 inch. I'm going to then kind of come halfway before I come to that first black line that I can see, and I'm going to cut there. I'm going to do the same with my craft stripes. Get these in here. And so here I'm at 5 1/2. I'm going to nudge these over a little bit, so I'm kind of halfway between. I might need to make a little snip with my scissors. That's okay. I can manage that. Okay. And then I'm going to need to do the same with the border, the geometric gemstone punch. And I'm going to need I'm going to need 4 of these. So, no problem here. I might have to do one at a time. Oh yes, I can get 2. That's fantastic. So that's going to be a top and a bottom. This will need to be as well. Let me get my other black strips cut here. All right. So now I've got what I need to make my 4 top and bottom border strips. Take your 1 1/8 black strip, and you're going to make squares that need to be 1 1/8 by 1 1/8. You're going to cut 4 of those. So again, come to that 1-inch mark. That midway point between 1 inch and 1/4 inch is your 1/8 mark. And you'll cut there and you'll do 4 of those. For your 1-inch tan craft stripe designer paper, these need to be 1 by 1. So 1 inch by 1 inch, which are pretty easy. You'll make 4 of those as well. Okay. We will then adhere all of these components. So I've already got my 7 3/4 adhered. So I'm just going to get these situated. I'm going to do these stripes first. And I'm just going to adhere all of these all at the same get these ready to be placed. I can move along a little bit quicker. Got my handy tweezers. I find using tweezers is helpful in managing some of the smaller cut pieces. Just helps me manage them a little bit better. And I'm just going to place this in the middle. I'm just eyeballing this. I have too many measurements with this one to try to figure out what's exactly the middle. I'm just going to eyeball it. Whoops. Then I'm gonna get my silicone mat. I'm gonna get my strips of the BMC, and I'm gonna get these ready with some repo tape. And then I will lay these in the middle of each strip. Whoops. All right. Okay. Awesome. So you're going to repeat that for your 7 3/4 strips as well. And then with the 1-inch circles and the 1 1-inch squares and 1 1/8 inch squares, you're going to adhere them. Just put the brown right on top in the middle of the black. Okay. Then we'll cut our base papers. And for that, you are going to need beige cardstock. And then you're going to need that that other parchment paper print. Okay. And for that cut, you will need to cut 6 by 8 1/2. So you load on your paper to that 6-inch mark. You'll cut, flip, and then cut at the 8 1/2 inch mark. And you'll do that for both this parchment print and beige cardstock. So this is where, if you have some scraps that will fit these measurements, it'll be, it's good to use those as well. So you can use up some of that stash versus having to cut into new pieces. But if you need to, then you need to. All right. The next cut that we're going to make, we're going to get that circle scrap from Project 3, that vintage floral scrap, because we're going to now cut that in half. And what you'll need to do, because I had already gotten this far along before I realized my measurement mistake, so I already have this cut. But what you'll need to do from that scrap from the last project, you'll need to trim this down to a 9 by 9. And then you will cut that in half, in both ways to get quarters. So once you have this down to a 9 by 9, because that'll be a better size to work with the pages, you can then, you could do one of two things. I took my paper and then I folded it in half to get my cut marks, inserted my pair of scissors, and I just cut at that fold mark. The other piece you can do, you can pull this whole page into your trimmer and cut at the half midpoint. So half of 9 is 4 1/2. You would bring the page to the 4.5 edge there and make your cut if you want to use your trimmer. Either way will work. Now we should be able to put together our pages. So as you can see, I already started, and this is where I realized my error and had to restart the whole video. So that's why things are a little bit quicker in this. I might feel a little rushed. Take your time with these measurements, take your time with these cuts. You don't have to rush. It's okay. So as you can see, I had started, and this is where I left off. So placing the squares first, and then, so really kind of placing the whole border, but being able to have a little space here. Don't put your adhesive right to the edge of the corners of your squares, so that way you can tuck in this piece. If you're concerned, you could do this part first like I did. You can take one of your strips and place it at the bottom, and then put together your insert your middle beige piece if you want. That's how I did that, to have it measured, or to get it in there. And so then the border, we're just going to line it up at the bottom. I need to make a little trim to get that to fit right. Okay, that's good. Oh, that's right, we're doing one page at a time, so we're doing the left page. I now will take my 4 pieces of that vintage floral, and I will arrange them so that the circle parts, and so here we're seeing I might need to make a couple of trims real quick to get that to work. And so this is part of this is the sizing of the scrap journal, because it is an odd size. Some of it, some of these get a little distorted, and we just have to play around a little bit with them. They won't fit perfectly. So I know I need to make some trims to this. Right. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to take a quick measurement. I'm going to get a pencil. Oops. Get this a little straighter so that I can, and I'm going to place this on my mat so that I can get the grid lines to show evenly, right? So I'm gonna bring the top of my page to my 10-inch mark there, right? Because in the midway point is 5, so I can bring these down to 5. And then I'm just gonna make pencil marks where that edge is that I need to make cuts at. I'm gonna grab my scissors and I'm just gonna make those cuts real quick. Same thing here. I'm gonna bring these down to 5. Make my pencil marks. I'm gonna make my cuts real quick. Just do a quick run over with my eraser, get any residual pencil marks off. Now, I don't know if I remember which way I had all of these. It probably was that way. Those two there and these two. Okay. So now I can put my adhesives. Sometimes, or some folks, you might want to use the precision dot glue pen for some of the skinnier parts, or you could use repo tape on those parts as well if you're worried about them sticking up. So again, I'm just going to line up my paper here, or my page, to that 10-inch mark so that I can get to that 5-inch grid line a bit better. Find my spacing. Get adhesive on these other two pieces. So I'm a little off with my cut, but that's okay because I can always use an embellishment, or I might even come in with a marker and make that a little bit better. For the middle part, right, depending on photo placement, the idea is that our photos would go in each of these quadrants, so the size of the photos will matter, and depending on if I'm going to put a photo in the middle or a different embellishment or sticker. So I'm going to hold off on that piece for now. Let's get the other side together real quickly here. Okay. And thankfully we don't have to do anything in the middle. We're just going to be putting our border and our base paper in. So let's get all of our pieces. We got our borders, our squares, and our base paper in there. So again, I'm going to start with my squares. And I'm going to put them right in the bottom right corner, and then the top right corner. I'm going to get my 7 3/4 border placed. And actually I need to make a little bit of a trim to get this in here. I'm going to grab my base page and get that in. I'm going to use one of these to guide me a little bit. I'll lift up that corner of the squares so I can get tucked in here. Bring up my paper. And just double check with the bottom. I'll be okay there, right? Yes. Excellent. So I'm going to place it in. It's just getting a little stuck here. So I just need to lift this a little. There we go. And we're good there. Now I can get my top and bottom borders on. Okay, there we go. So here we've got our completed project 4 in the scrap journal size with the Legacy of Love collection. And so again, with photo placement, and sizes depending on what size you're using. I had my little photo pieces somewhere. Not handy. Guess I wasn't too prepared. But again, 4x4s, you're only going to fit so much. You know, maybe one, possibly two on this side for a 4x4. 3x3s, 3.5 by 3.5, 3x4s. And again, taking into consideration, you're going to need some mats if you want mats on them as well. So, and then any embellishments or mat pack. So there we have it. So if you need any supplies, reach out to your favorite advisor. By all means, reach out to me, or you can always shop on our Creative Memories websites. My advisor link is creativememories.com/cm/gm83, or I can assist you with shopping as well. And follow me on Facebook at Mohr Memories, or you can shop again through my Creative Memories website. You can just go to the website when you're checking out. You can make sure that you're shopping with the advisor you want. You select G.W. Xavier Mohr, M-O-H-R, from Indiana. And then it will allocate that you're shopping with me. Or, like I said, hit up your favorite advisor. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And as always, hope you enjoyed and happy scrapping. And next project that we're going to be doing, the last one in the playbook, Project 5, here's our sneak peek for Project 5. So that'll be fun as well. So again, thanks for joining and happy scrapping.